Was the First World War really a battle for supernatural technology? Is rain alien tears? All these questions you can find the answer to on This Paranormal Life. Welcome to the podcast. This week, I am your host, Rory Powers, joined by my paranormal associate, Kit Greer.
Howdy, pals.
How you doing, Kit?
I'm doing good, Rory. How are you doing? You having a crazy week? What's happening?
I'm having a pretty crazy week because so this week what we're going to be looking into is actually is another listener request.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, it was actually messaged in by a couple of our listeners. This week, we're going to be investigating the legendary creature known only as the Mothman.
Wow.
Now, this request was so popular, I think we actually had about 3 or so people emailing in for us to investigate it. So thank you to Rose Keating, Andrew Steen, and the other random people on Twitter who messaged me about it, and I didn't go deep enough to find your Twitter handles.
Right on.
So thank you to all those guys.
Thanks, guys.
Side note, This Paranormal Life has an official Twitter account now.
That's right.
So you should check us out at This Para Life. There's a bunch of fun tweets and updates. Me and Kit both post on there as well as the Facebook page. So check it out.
That's right. We're pretty active on there, so get involved.
More active than I think the community is in investigating paranormal facts, which is something that we want to change. We want to make it like Sunday game night or like weekend hangouts. Oh, hey, baby, do you want to go to the movies tonight? I don't know. Why don't we go to the woods and find
I feel like we have
Bigfoot?
Yeah, we have a responsibility to hit the streets and find some ghouls.
Yeah, because what do you get out of watching a movie? Nothing. Sure, an hour of entertainment.
I guess a smooch, maybe.
Yeah, maybe a smooch.
But maybe
eventually marry this girl.
First date idea.
Who gives a crap?
Hunt for the vampire beast of Bladenborough. Second date idea.
Please, what is the second date?
Roswell.
Investigate it or go there? Or?
Third date idea.
Okay, we're straight to third.
Ancient pyramids. I said it.
Marry me. I'm sold. So let's get started. Because I'm not going to lie to you. One, there's a hair in my mouth that won't freaking
quit.
Where is the...
There's more.
Son of a...
Holy.
It's the hairball. No, I got him. It's fine. I'm not going to lie to you. This is a big one. So when it was emailed in for me to investigate, I thought, okay, it's a paranormal creature. He's probably shown up, harassed some people, and then we talk about whether he's real or not.
Okay, yeah. That's kind of we've been through a few paranormal creatures. That tends to be how it goes.
Exactly. But the further I went into the Mothman, into his red eyes, the further I went
to be him.
It just kept on going, and there's so many crazy theories and stories that, I mean, this is a big investigation.
Okay.
I mean, we got big old cups of coffee in front of us. We're ready to dig into this bad boy, to beat it over the head, string it up, clip its wings,
stuff
cook
it
its
back
eggs.
back into a little, what are they called? Little shit.
Cage?
Cocoon.
Mash it back in its little bird cocoon. Okay, so let's get started with the investigation.
Let's get started.
First off, I'm going to take us back to November 12th, 1966 in West Virginia.
Great year.
It was a good year. It's late at night, and 5 men were in a cemetery preparing a grave for burial.
Oh, Jesus.
I hope to God these men were gravekeepers. I don't know what context it actually is.
Those are just like, that's a sentence like you don't really come across. Like, people that do those things are not your friends or family.
No, it's such an obscure job, isn't it? Yeah. So they're digging away into the ground. When suddenly they hear a noise in a nearby tree. I mean, that's pretty normal.
Yeah, it's pretty vague.
So it's late. It could be an owl, a squirrel.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, a giant, dark brown, winged creature took off from the tree, flying into the air.
Wow.
Now, it was dark, but the men could make out the outline of the creature. This was no bird. It was humanoid. Humanoid.
As big as a human. That's
big as a human with wings. Now, this was believed to be the first official sighting of the Mothman.
Okay.
What are your thoughts?
66. All right, that's pretty vague.
Right.
You know.
I mean, these seem like trustworthy gents. Trustworthy grave-digging gents.
Well, what I would say is if they are true grave diggers, this won't be their first grave dig. So they're not going to be easily flustered
Right.
by a bird flying out of a tree.
Yeah.
So,
And also,
I'll give them that.
if they're doing something incriminating, then why in the telling of this story, I mean, they've given it away. So this must have been an actual event
Yeah.
for them to be like, look, sure, we were digging up some graves, but forget about
The
that.
real crime here.
Yeah, the real crime here is the goddamn man.
Crime
flying-
against nature. They're putting him in handcuffs.
They're just taking him away because he's just covered in the jewelry of the deceased
Any
from that
last
graveyard.
words?
Yeah, it's kind of tough at this point because we don't really have a good description of the beast, but I did think this was important to put into the story because it is allegedly the first official sighting. This is when it popped up, November 12th.
Yeah.
Okay?
So, I just want to get out of the way because it said it was humanoid.
He's real. Move past it. Sorry. Yeah.
Your storytelling skills aren't that incredible that I'm that sold on it already.
So this was the first sighting of the Mothman, but it would not be the last.
Okay.
More sightings of a giant bird-like man started popping up all over West Virginia and even surrounding states.
Right.
It can fly, so it's clearly mobile.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
locked
Likes
to one
Virginia,
location.
though.
It does like, it likes
Nice
Virginia a
climate.
lot.
Likes the coast.
But one area in particular was known for its Mothman sightings.
Okay.
And would also be the location of one of the most terrifying Mothman encounters to date.
Wow.
This is my personal favorite one.
Yeah, can I just make a little guess
Okay.
right away? I'm going to guess that the town that's most famous for the Mothman sightings is a piece of shit small town that no one cared about before the Mothman.
How dare you? How dare you, sir? Point Pleasant is an angel of a city.
Is it a city?
It's a town. It's a town.
It's okay.
It is relatively small, sure. And yes, okay, it does now have an annual Mothman festival, but that shouldn't take away from the legitimacy.
Yes,
of
the
his
town's
existence.
income is 90% based on Mothman merchandise,
Yeah.
but
It's also home to the biggest ball of yarn, sure. Okay, so this is my favorite sighting so far. So one night on November 15th, which is only 3 days after the first sighting took place.
Sorry, did you not say December before?
No, November.
Okay,
Did I say December?
not sure.
Okay. Whatever I said before, this is 3 days in November after the original one. Two young couples were driving down the road by a place nicknamed the TNT area.
Oh Jesus!
It's not a good start, is it? He goes to graveyards, he goes to the bomb land, essentially. And that's because this location was filled with disused World War II tunnels and bases that were actually
Christ.
used to create dynamite and explosives.
Why do teens like those places?
I mean, it's a cool place.
Teens are so stupid, so stupid. Like no sense of danger, no sense of like maybe there's a reason why we shouldn't go hang out in disused World War bunkers.
I know what you mean. What's wrong with like make out cliff?
Yeah, Point Pleasant.
Point Pleasant.
Presumably
Make
it's-
out cliff.
yeah.
But no, we're gonna go to freaking Bombland TNT area.
Hey babe, what do you say we take a drive down to the harbor? No. Make out Point? No. What about the bomb zone? What?
I just want this date to be explosive. If you catch my drift. I
It's not
think I
worth
know what
the
you're
joke.
saying.
It's not worth the joke, I would say.
I just feel like we got this spark in between us. Please
Okay.
open the car. I want to get out. I just think you're dynamite, girl. All right. Smash the window. She's borderline crawling out of the car at this point. He's mad.
He's wearing a TNT vest.
So these couples are driving down the road. And as I said, so this was a place that was used to create dynamite and other explosives for the war.
Okay.
And possibly even create a Mothman. Put a little creepy paranormal noise in there to imply a certain
Where?
story point, you know, little
I
narrative
mean,
twist.
where did that point come
I
from?
just made that
wonder?
up off the
okay,
top of
just
my
wanted to make that
A lot of this
clear,
will be made up.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's one
Yeah,
of those.
yeah. Well, anyway, Roger and Linda Scarberry were enjoying a leisurely drive with their friends Steve and Mary Mallet. You know, driving down the road. Maybe went out for a couple's date that night.
Yeah.
It's
Picked up some ice cream. It's a nice night.
1960s. You're just listening to like beats as you drive
Free
by.
love, baby.
So great. Yeah, free love. Get, you know, blowjob in the back seat. Whatever's going on. Well, who cares? We're all free in the.
He's giving him a handy. She's giving her a disnong.
The TNT area is like international waters, baby. Anything happens. There's goddamn
knife fights.
monkey knife fights in the trunk. There is so much cocaine in this car. When all of a sudden, Linda noticed something strange. Outside her window, she could see two large, glowing red eyes near the old power plant.
Never good. Never good.
As they got closer, she screamed. In the moonlit night, she could see a creature 7 foot tall with giant wings on its back. Roger stopped the car to get a good look at the creature, but that's when things kicked off.
Whoa.
The winged beast took off into the air and headed towards the car. Roger slammed his foot to the pedal and drove off as fast as he could, allegedly exceeding over 100 miles per hour.
Coward. Real coward.
With the creature still pursuing the car.
Oh my god.
He's driving, allegedly, over 100 miles per hour. And this beast, Mothman, is able to still chase them airbound.
Because you said this thing was humanoid.
Yeah.
But it's 7 foot tall. This thing is NBA-anoid.
Yeah.
And like track and field annoyed, like running 100 miles, like
he's an
100 miles an hour.
athletic bird-like Mothman. Yeah.
He's been working out.
So after a panicked period of driving, they arrive in town. And the Mothman was gone. Okay? So obviously they pull over the car and they talk about what they've seen. You know? You can be Roger, the husband, and I'll be Linda in this situation. Roger, did you just see what I saw?
Jesus Christ.
Why am I English? You're Southern.
Should we stick with it?
Keep going, yeah. Give us like a shotgun wedding. Keep going. Roger, I swear, the beast's eyes, I saw them in the dark.
What are you talking about?
Roger, you must believe me. He was monstrous.
I was just driving because you were screaming, to be honest. What are you talking about?
Roger, I'm sick of your bullshit. You must believe me for once.
Every day it's another beast. What is it today? What is it today?
I told you it was the chupacabra yesterday. He was in the toilet. Yes, of course, today was the Mothman.
It was a spider.
Who knows what tomorrow could be? Bigfoot. It could be something else. It could be a bigger spider.
It'll be a goddamn dog, and that's the end of it.
That was a goblin on Halloween. I swear.
It was a child. It was our child.
Drive the f***ing car.
It was our child.
It was our child. She thinks everything is a beast. So they pull over and they talk about what they've seen. I mean, what was this thing? Was it a man? Was it a moth? Was it some sort of moth-like man?
I mean, it sounds like it was a helicopter. It was like,
if it's chasing them at 100 miles per hour, that's pretty insane.
Yeah.
I mean, like birds can't do that.
Yeah.
It can't be like a crane.
It was either a Mothman or it was a shadow.
Yeah.
It was roughly the same size as us. I mean, no matter how fast we went, it just kept coming.
So eventually, after a big discussion, they decide it's a bird.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess what flies fast.
I mean, I guess you pulled over and the logical side of your brain is maybe kicking back in.
Yeah.
I mean, they seem like normal, reasonable people, but
Give or
come
take.
on. 100 miles per hour?
Yeah, sounds a bit. Yeah.
Regardless, they think it's a good idea to return to the TNT area.
What? Like, what? Like that night? Like
That night,
That
directly
night?
after, they were like, look, well, let's go find out what it is that we saw. They didn't have to drive for long, though, before they saw two glowing red eyes once again in the darkness, sitting there, waiting for them right beside Route 62. The couples now realized they really weren't dealing with a bird. No. This was a monster.
I don't get the logic of like, it was for sure a bird, but let's go back.
But in case it wasn't, and then what, we're up against it again? I know, I'm very flawed. They're ready to leave at this point, but in doing so, Roger's car headlights shine directly at the Mothman. The creature leapt into the air with insane speed, disappearing into the night.
God.
What are your thoughts?
Oof. I don't know, there's a lot to digest here.
Because the original story, we got a glance at it. This one, we've got another glance, but we've got him chasing and interacting with the people. And then a full-on headlight beam look at the creature.
But they seem to be pretty set in this idea that he just, like, zips up and out of there, like, real fast. Like,
yeah.
I don't think they're getting, like, a good... If they think this thing's a bird, they're not getting a good look at it.
So the couples reported later that night what they'd seen to Sheriff George Johnson, an honest man, a normal man. And the next day, a press conference was held to warn the people of this town what exactly was out there.
Okay. So
Now,
do we know what they said?
I think he just said, look, there's been some sightings.
Okay, there's something out there.
There's something out there. We're not sure what it is at this point.
I can't imagine them giving a statement like that anymore because people's imaginations would just run wild.
Yeah, well, this is what I wrote down. So, like, he's a small town sheriff.
Yeah.
So, even if this was happening and there was something creepy going on, you know, he doesn't know about government cover-ups or like CIA protocol. He's got to protect the public, and he's just got to be like, hey, look, there's something out here. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I'm
He's
just doing my
shooting
job.
straight. Yeah.
I'm packing heat. Are you guys packing heat? Pack some
No.
heat, baby.
Hey, kid.
Talking to a
get
bunch of
over here.
kids. Yeah, you guys packing heat? No, my dad. Well,
a
pussy.
kindergarten class.
Here, hold this. I don't think I can hold it. Pull the trigger.
Holding it to his forehead.
Pull the trigger, you little pussy. It's like, I don't think I can do it. I thought so. You're as bad as the Mothman.
Kid pulls the trigger. It like it doesn't fire. Congratulations, passed first grade. Walks out of
I
there.
love the idea of him giving it to the kid, and he's like, come on, you little pussy, pull the trigger, become a man. Just kills the sheriff, and it's like, what do we do now?
Sheriff just watched like an action movie the night before. He thought it would be cool.
Yeah. Now, of course, after the press conference, obviously newspapers started reporting stories about what had happened. The most iconic one reading, couple sees man-sized bird creature something.
What?
That was the headline. So, yeah, pretty small town, local papers.
So many of our stories are just like the mind-boggling shit people did like 40 years ago.
I know, right?
Isn't it insane?
Now, as we said, it's easy to be skeptical when we're dealing with testimonies, especially from over 30 years ago. But one thing that you and I always come back to and always ask each other is, why would a victim make this up? Do they have something to gain? Do they have something to lose? What could be a motivation behind a fictitious story?
Right.
Well, I can tell you this. On November 16th, Linda Scarberry, the wife of Roger, was rushed to hospital after basically experiencing a nervous breakdown. Okay, right. She literally had to be hospitalized because she couldn't handle the Mothman.
Yeah.
It was just so... I don't know.
He was just leaving her voicemails.
Just in her closet at night, like eating all of it. Wait, moths eat
clothes.
Yes. Eat clothes.
And it sounds crazy when you say it out loud, but yes,
they eat clothes. It's tough.
Okay. Well, no, it's definitely, it's fuel to the fire, I'll tell you that much.
It is absolutely fuel to the fire that burns the clothes the Mothman eats, which is good. We should keep burning those clothes. Drive them out.
I'm very confused.
Before we continue on with the investigation, I think it's time we look into exactly what he's rumored to look like.
Yeah, please do.
Because at this point, there's been enough sightings to get a concise kind of idea of what he looks like.
Yes.
All right. So brace yourself because things are about to get really weird.
Really dumb, really fast.
After talking about a giant Mothman terrorizing a city, things are about to get weird. So buckle up.
I know it was all textbook shit right up until now.
So the Mothman is described as a bipedal winged humanoid looking creature. The name Mothman was actually given to him by newspapers at the time. He does in no way look like a half moth, half man.
Okay.
That's more like a catchy phrase, you know, it's the Mothman.
Yeah.
You know,
okay,
so
he's not it's not like The Fly with Jeff Goldblum.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, it's not like that at all.
Okay.
He's often reported to be 7 feet tall, have a wingspan of 10 to 15 feet, Jesus. And as we know, has the ability to fly over 100 miles per hour. So, for example, if you were walking down the street late at night, you're going home.
Yeah.
You see a figure in the shadows.
Yeah.
A horrible birdie man, 7 feet, giant wings, glowing red eyes. I mean, do you think this could damage you so much that you lose your mind? Could you move on with the rest of your life knowing you'd seen this creature that then just goes like, "Ah!" and takes off into the sky?
I think that would be for sure mentally damaging. So several years ago, I don't know how many years ago now, I went to the bathroom in my house. Okay?
I'm so excited for this story.
And I go to the bathroom and then I reach over to the toilet roll, okay?
Right.
Like it's a cardboard tube, paper on the outside.
Nothing paranormal yet. Nothing paranormal about that.
I put my hand inside. I feel like a little squelch.
A moth.
And then I just like flick my hand. I like throw the thing down and there's just like a giant spider and I've just crushed its abdomen. And half of this spider is just like a man whose legs have been crushed by a steamroller.
Like
it's just
Terminator,
trying to,
just clawing his way.
Just crawling away. This giant goddamn spider. I've just got spider guts and babies all over my finger.
That's so gross.
So, I'm telling you
what does that have to do with
that I've checked every goddamn roll ever since in case it happens again. So
2 days later,
Mothman,
I'm in the hospital. I'm in a nervous goddamn breakdown. Screaming at the nurses.
Bullies are teasing me, throwing cardboard at rolls at me.
Well, my perspective, not exactly the Mothman, but as I've talked about and been shut down on this podcast before, my paranormal experience in Dublin.
Yeah.
Where, I saw
how is this relevant? I just don't see how you think this story is relevant.
Well, it was because it was in plain sight.
I just don't.
It was a beast.
Yeah. I get. Listen, this is about facts. This show is about facts.
Okay. You're right. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk about real events. Yeah,
sure. I figure if we ever do like a live podcast, then that can be like at the halfway point. We'll just cut the recording, and everyone in the show, I can tell them
incentive to see us
my
live.
paranormal story.
Yes.
About the Dublin Gorilla Man.
Yeah, if they want to hear some fake shit, totally.
Sure, yeah. I'm sorry. It was a really tough time for me
I'm sure it was. I'm sure that make believe.
Right. Well, I could swear it was real.
Yeah.
It felt real at the time.
No, I'm sure it did. Video game stuff like that kind of mess with your head.
Yeah. My brother saw it and a couple other people as well.
Yeah, your brother's a liar. So rude.
So more on the creature. He is rarely observed flapping his wings except for takeoff.
Uh-huh.
And witnesses often describe his flight pattern as straight up like a helicopter.
Very like a helicopter. In fact, he emits a kind of low chugging hum.
He's often carrying a number of people inside of him. He can fly much faster than any bird should be able to fly. Measured by those victims who have suffered what seems to be Mothman's favorite activity, chasing cars.
Really? That is what a moth would do. Moths are very attracted to light. So imagine you've got headlights at night.
That's the only thing. He's just going to be drawn to it. Absolutely.
I know you said it wasn't a moth, but I'm not listening to you on that point.
They like the darkness. But that's weird, isn't it? Like moths like the darkness, but to find the light. Like they're out at night.
It's kind of beautiful, actually.
Beautiful. Give me a second here, actually. Oh, moths like the darkness, but they're always flying towards the light. Ooh, moths like the darkness. They just want to love, they don't want to fight. Yeah. So Roger was driving down the motherfucking road, and he was driving down the TNT zone when he saw the Mothman. He was flying in the sky. His wife Linda, she thought he was gonna die, so they kept driving down this street. They were driving all around. They weren't driving neat. They pulled the car over and they thought, what did we just hear? And David said maybe it was a bird, but it's not still here. So then they got back in the car and they drive down the street, pretty far. And they looked out the dark, saw those red glowing eyes. To their surprise, they were terrified. Boom! Drop that mic, son. That was the Mothman rap. I hope y'all liked it.
They were terrified.
I would love it as well if you were like, you're like, that was really good, Roy. I'm like, thanks, man. Like, it's just kind of like, wait, what are your notes? It's like,
4 pages of lyrics.
Cue improv song, then the lyrics, and you can see where I've scribbled out. Like, I've clearly worked on this for days.
You scheduled out 3 more improvisations.
All right, so let's do a little roundup, okay?
Yeah.
So we know what the Mothman looks like, and you might feel like we have a pretty good grasp on this creature.
Yeah.
You know, we've seen him.
Yeah, we got the basics.
Yeah. You are so wrong. I found what we've experienced so far, that's what I thought I was getting into when I started researching the Mothman.
You thought you were going to have a nice little time. Nice little open and shut case, as they call it.
I honestly, I have a note here that says, end with the sweet rap. That was in my notes.
Yeah, there wasn't really much to it, so I thought I'd just spice it up with a musical number.
So I know I said things were going to get weird before.
Yeah.
But now they're going to go very weird.
Jesus.
So some people believe that the Mothman is made by the government.
Obviously.
Others think that he's just simply a beast, an evolutionary runoff, like some sort of bird monkey.
Yeah.
But perhaps there's something much more paranormal about the Mothman.
What could be more than... Okay.
Brace yourself. This actually gets pretty cool.
Here we go.
In 1928, so 30 years before the Mothman was ever seen, a silver bridge called the Silver Bridge was constructed in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, which is the hot spot, obviously, for the Mothman sightings. Now, this bridge was big, and it was used to connect Point Pleasant with Gallipolis in Ohio for over 35 years.
Yeah.
Now, as we know, the first Mothman sighting took place in 1966.
Yes.
And over the next year, Mothman sightings would continue to rise all over Point Pleasant. So why would he appear out of nowhere? Was the Mothman trying to warn us about something?
What?
That's right. On December 15th, 1967, cars were piled up across the Silver Bridge. It's your typical rush hour traffic. You know, you got some people honking your horns, other people have the radio on. It's a sunny day, you know, your windows are down, you're relaxing.
You got road rage.
When all of a sudden, due to a small defect in an eye-bar, the entire bridge collapses into the river, crumbling into the Ohio River during rush hour, killing over 40 people almost instantaneously.
Wow.
At the time, this was one of the worst catastrophes in American history.
Wow.
After the horrible event took place, Mothman sightings seemed to die down for a while.
His work there was done.
Well, this is what we're going to get on to. So, this led a lot of people to believe that the Mothman had appeared to try and warn the people of Point Pleasant that this was going to happen.
Mothman was actually a sick civil engineer. He noticed some crazy inconsistencies in the architecture of that bridge.
I mean, he's already spent a year trying to get these people's attention, but every time he sees
in
them,
the worst
he's like,
way possible.
I assume because he's like a moth and he's quite soft. He's got like a excitable but like soft, raspy voice.
Yeah.
So if like if he finally meets someone, he's like, "Look, I can't talk for long.
Jesus,
you need to listen to me. No, don't shoot. Please, the bridge." And takes off.
Shut up, you hairy bastard.
So some people went as far to claim that they spotted the Mothman on the bridge just before it fell into the river. But of course, the other side of this belief is rather than showing up to warn people it's about to happen, the Mothman itself is the curse, and that he just brings darkness to wherever he is. He's like an omen, you know?
Oh, I was going to say he just like pulled a few pins.
He's just gnawing at them.
I saw him on the bridge.
Shoot at me now, bitches!
He threw a screwdriver into the river and flipped us off.
First off, which one would you be more inclined to agree with? Is this a paranormal creature that can somehow predict tragic events, trying to warn people, or is this, you know, much like before something bad happens, like almost Final Destination? You know, you have like a premonition of a bad event before it happens.
I mean, it seems like a bit of a stretch if this thing is humanoid but doesn't actually communicate or speak English or necessarily understand human concepts,
Right.
that it would be trying to warn people. Like they say that dogs try to warn people about earthquakes. I don't know. Maybe like the dog just senses something's like out of whack.
Earthquake! Earthquake!
What's that?
Good job,
Rough cake?
Timmy. Earthquake!
But like, I don't know if the dog is like, Jeff, run!
Yeah.
Like, or if the dog's just kind of like, something's weird.
Right, it's like a
maybe
feeling,
this
yeah.
Mothman is just kind of like, oh, there's a weird energy over here. But maybe, yeah, it is like a premonition thing.
But running along those lines, let's jump to another date.
Please do.
1986 in the Soviet Union. A bizarre-looking winged creature with alleged glowing red eyes was seen flying over a town.
Could it be?
The creature was also apparently seen by a number of workers at a nearby nuclear power plant.
Jesus.
1986, nuclear power plant, Soviet Union.
Jesus.
A town you may know called Chernobyl. Was the Mothman trying to warn the people about the oncoming nuclear disaster?
No way.
He was allegedly in, I believe it's in that area, completely separate from this, and he's described as the Birdman of Chernobyl.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was like sightings of like a bird-like creature in the, I think, months or weeks before the Chernobyl nuclear disaster.
God damn. Because if you ever try to like Google that, obviously, if you type the word Chernobyl into Google, you're getting one thing. But yeah, there's obviously going to be folklore and legends
If you type
and local
in
legends.
Birdman nuclear disaster Soviet Union, you might get a different result.
If you go to rorypowers.com/Chernobyl, you'll get the
Just right.
truth.
Oh yeah, make sure you put in / the truth. just to be sure.
Instead of / the lies.
Lie. April 10th, 2009, a tall, hairy winged man with bloodshot eyes was seen by the public right before the 2009 outbreak of swine flu.
It's just a tall man with bloodshot eyes. He was just a stoner.
I don't even know if there's mention. No, winged man. Winged man. They did specify winged man.
That's not paranormal.
I'm just here to bring you the facts. In all of these cases, right before a disaster of some kind, there has been sightings of a bird-like man with red glowing eyes.
Yeah.
I'm putting the ball in your court. You can deal with it however you like.
Interesting. It is interesting. It reminds me a little bit of Nostradamus, and I would hope to maybe cover some of his predictions in a future cast.
Right.
But it's odd, isn't it, whenever you have someone like that and they go, look at all the hits that Nostradamus made. You know, he predicted this.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, also consider all the crazy misses and things he didn't foresee.
Right.
So like swine flu is very specific and quite small in the grand scheme of kind of human catastrophe. It's like
maybe like Mothman thought this was going to be way bigger than it was. He thought it was going to be like the one that killed all of humanity. So he's like, oh, I better be, it's like a good party. He's like, I got to be seen at this one, you know?
I like that he's like checking his little like disaster feed on his little moth iPhone, and he's like, we seem to have a kind of horrific civil war in the Democratic Republic of Congo, or foot and mouth disease seems to be popping off in the UK this year.
Well, if we think that Mothman has been present at a lot of these ongoing tragic events, was he present for all tragic events? Was he there in World War II? Did he watch the Hindenburg go up in flames? These are pretty, out there questions, but this is an out there podcast.
That's pretty crazy. This is like a whole wider thing. It's like as you say, let's get away a little bit from the idea of the Mothman. Right now, what we're talking about right now is just like an omen, like a demonic omen.
So, if there is some sort of omnipotent bird creature that's capable of transcending time, you can imagine that's not something that would be open knowledge to the public. Well, until now. We've kind of blown that bubble.
Yeah, and good luck us lasting the rest of this year.
There's a system in place. The world is fragile.
Yeah.
The system is fragile.
Listen, guys. All right, everyone listening to this podcast, listen up. You're a pawn.
Yeah.
You're a pawn in a game.
Yeah, we're queens, but you're a pawn.
Yeah, we're like a couple rungs up on the ladder, but...
I'm actually a double queen. I invented that. Or did I? No. I don't play a lot of chess.
I'm a prawn.
I'm a king, the most powerful piece of all time. I move where I want, when I want, and I've got a gun. Checkmate, bitch.
You're a pawn. I'm Richard Nixon. Okay?
It's a fragile system. It sucks because some people struggle in the world. We got it tough. You got to do your 9-to-5 works. It is a miracle that we are not all throwing our feces at each other and just clobbering each other with rocks until we all die at the age of 4. It's a miracle, So if there's anything that pops up, like a time-traveling omnipotent bird, you gotta keep that a secret. Yeah. Because then people are gonna stop going to work.
You're damn right. The whole thing's gonna fall apart.
I mean, and that's just stuff that we have to deal with. There's stuff we don't know.
There's secrets.
Listen to this podcast and you can find out the answers /the truth. #investigate.
That's right. Listen, you keep listening to this podcast, you're going to come out with more knowledge than whatever shit you learned at school, okay? I promise you that.
You already know how to play chess now. You're welcome. So we have to assume that the government has some sort of relationship with the Mothman. Because if the public knows, you're pretty sure the government know.
Okay.
Well, that relationship, I can tell you, is quite mysterious.
Oh.
So, in Point Pleasant from 1966 to 67, which was obviously the height of the Mothman sightings, it was around this time that a number of strange men started appearing in the town. Now, as we said, this is a small town. It wouldn't really garner any attention from public officials, really. And now, I've talked about these people briefly before on the podcast, and here they are appearing again.
Uh-oh.
So these people, they were dressed from head to toe in black suits, white shirts, black ties, and black shoes, which all looked completely pristine, but completely out of style for 1966. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Okay. I think we both have an idea of where this is going. Why don't we say on 3 who we're both thinking of? 1, 2, 3. Agent Smith for Matrix. Oh.
See, you went with the old Matrix one.
Yeah.
Not the... you didn't want to go for the Alien Time Lords?
Alien Time Lords?
Oh, yeah, no. What was it you said, though? Wait, which pill did you take in the room with the guy? We'll get into a little bit of a description later, but they're involved with a story that I think will give you an indication as to what these people are.
Okay.
So one day, Mary Hyre, a newspaper reporter for the Athens Messenger, which was a newspaper that had one of their offices in Point Pleasant, was working at her office. Now, Mary was one of the most popular leading reporters to write about the Mothman sightings and strange occurrences in her newspaper column. Which basically means, Mary, you painted a big old target on your back.
Yeah, goddamn.
They are coming for you.
Yeah, you done messed up. You should have done that in podcast form. How about that?
We're untraceable, bitch. We're like paranormal bitcoins.
We're the WikiLeaks of iTunes, okay?
We're the Edward Snowdens of the paranormal world. You can't find us. You don't know where we are.
Internationally hated.
You're never going to find us because we're invisible. Shit. What was that? Police, come on with your hands up. It's just a podcast. I swear it's all lies.
Mothman, come on with your hands up.
So she's sitting there in her office, and all of a sudden there's a knock on her door.
Uh-oh.
She opens the door to find a strange man standing there, matching the description that I just gave you earlier.
Yes.
Now, Mary Hyre said he had olive skin and never allegedly blinked his eyes.
What?
After a few questions, he began asking her intrusive questions about the Mothman and her research. As it was going on, the man also kept getting closer and closer to her until their interaction was interrupted by a phone call, which she was happy to take.
It sounds like if he wasn't blinking, kept moving closer, he was just hitting on her, I think.
Hey, baby, so if you're not busy writing about the Mothman, what do you know about the Mothman? I just brought it up in conversation. I thought, you like the Mothman. What? Why do you keep asking me about the Mothman? The man, at this point, while she took the call, the man began to intensively study a ballpoint pen on her desk as if he'd never seen it before.
Interesting. Who hasn't seen a pen before?
Right. And you'd think that's the end of it, but you'd be wrong. Similar men also threatened Mothman witness Connie Carpenter. After allegedly trying to pull her into their car, They left an ominous note outside of her house reading, "Be careful, girl, I can get you yet."
Is Mothman in the mob? Like, what's happening?
When Mothman witness Faye Dewitt Laporte and her brother saw the Mothman around the TNT area again, they tried to return to the local area the next day to find it was blocked off by 2 men in black who would not let them enter. I'm essentially talking about a group of people known as the Men in Black.
Yes.
And I don't want to go into them too much in this one because they're so damn weird and interesting that they need a whole podcast episode.
Yeah.
These men turn up in a lot of paranormal stories, like a lot of ones that I've come across, and they're known for attempting to threaten witnesses and reporters of strange occurrences. But they've been described as human looking, but their mannerisms are so strange that it spawned so many different theories. Apparently, according to witnesses, the Men in Black have strange eating behaviors. So witnesses say when they saw them at a restaurant, they didn't know how to use a knife and fork. And they had to have the waitress come over and tell them how to cut the steak. And then when they ate, they didn't chew their food. They just kind of swallowed it.
Yeah.
And we talked about them briefly in the story of the black-eyed kids.
Yes.
Like at one point coming to pick up the children.
That's right.
And I do want to go into them in a later podcast, but it seems like they just kind of show up and they're almost, it's weird, they almost feel like they're a part of the government, but not even human themselves.
Yeah.
Just kind of toneless, emotionless, robotic.
And to take it to a different episode, I mean, we might be talking here about some sort of black helicopter-esque nanobiotechnology. That these things are not human, not animal, not beast, not machine, but something different.
I need to go, not machine, but in fact helicopter. It's like you have such a teeniest grasp on life in general. I'm very interested to hear, after all this information, where you lie.
I don't really know what to make of the Men in Black connection.
Right.
Because, like, whenever it's aliens, there's a motive there. It's like, you know too much. We cannot let this information get out.
Yeah.
Like, we're trying to backwards engineer technology here. We can't let other nations know about this. Can't let anyone know about this.
Absolutely.
We're keeping something under wraps here. I mean, I don't really understand what the motive is necessarily.
With the Mothman.
I know what you mean about the fragile system that is Western civilization. But yeah, I just find it very hard to imagine that if there was some sort of bizarre demonic anomaly out there haunting people, that the government would really put that level of resources into shutting up people talking about it.
Assuming the Men in Black are with the government.
Yeah, but some sort of organization. I've got a theory.
All right, let me hear it.
There's a gas leak in Point Pleasant, Virginia. Okay. That's it.
Everyone's high.
Well, have you ever heard the theory of, like the Salem witch trials?
Right.
And go back in time and like there was just this period in history where witches were
real.
Were real, apparently.
Well, you threw on apparently there, which I find a bit jarring.
You're hovering on a broomstick. One of the theories, I think we can all sort of get on board with the idea.
Burning a witch.
Burning women. I think excuse me.
We don't need lots of convincing.
Sure, we've all wanted to burn our wives. I think, we can all sort of get behind the modern notion that witches ain't real. So one of the theories is that if you go back and if we look at the biological records, look at these towns where the witch trials were going on, that there were particular biological traits in the soil. We can tell that there was a particularly, let's say, long freeze that winter. They think that caused unusual microbial growth in the fields of wheat.
Jesus, this sounds like real science.
It is.
How dare you bring real science onto this podcast?
And it caused growths of ergot in their food supply.
And witches.
And ergot, basically, it contains an analog of lysergic acid, aka LSD. What we're saying is entire populations eating bread, eating food, tripping on acid for like a year at a time.
Oh God! So they were insane.
Just tripping like daily, the entire community. So they were just all having these bizarre individual like hallucinations and horrible paranoid thoughts, and they just started pinning it on like women.
That's
I guess.
crazy. It probably wasn't even women half the time. They're probably just like grabbing a broom and being like, burn the witches.
So that was a long tangent, but what I'm saying is maybe there's like something else going on in Virginia.
Well, it's interesting to think of if these bunkers were used during the Second World War.
Yeah.
That's a lot of time for any chemical runoffs in these bases to infect a town's water supply.
Yes.
And henceforth make loopy people to see birdmen and loopy engineers to build a shitty bridge. Which
like
actually is totally not correct because the bridge was built like 30 years before the birdman.
Oh, okay.
Right. So that's faulty. That's faulty.
Okay. But if we're to start tying all this together and start making concrete observations, what do you think?
What do I think? Well, obviously, my research brought me to some pretty dark places, some pretty crazy places. I think I'm on a list now. Mm-hmm. I think strange men are going to be following me. I think
we're definitely like flirting with that territory.
My Google searches alone in the last 2 weeks, I'm probably on a list. Chernobyl, nuclear birdman, men in black, robot humans.
I mean, the list is probably people who shouldn't be allowed to vote.
Yeah.
Like that's probably the height of it.
You know, if there wasn't something in this town, then why all this? Why the cover up? Why? I mean, like, even if someone even lied and said, like, yeah, I saw the Mothman. Ooh, he flew around and he was eating a pair of trousers in the sky.
Yeah.
You still had these people show up to town and, like, interrogate people and ask questions and insist that they stop their research. And I find that quite strange and weird.
Because if you're getting shut down, that means
you're doing something right.
That's right.
So come at me, police. Try and stop this podcast.
We're doing everything wrong. Police don't give a shit.
The police are like, we should fund these guys because they're turning everyone against the truth. I think there's a lot of this that I do not believe.
There's a lot of holes to poke in this.
But, you know, at one point, was there some sort of creature floating around West Virginia? You know... Possibly. Yes, I believe the Mothman existed in some capacity. That's my research. That's my conclusion. I #investigated and came to my conclusion.
You're on your own with this one. Tell you that right now.
Well, you're a man in black, aren't you?
I put on my aviators. You're on your own, powers.
You have been looking at my ballpoint pen for the last 45 minutes,
been
salivating.
Chewing a single piece of lettuce before just letting it drop out of my mouth.
You're not feeling it? You're not feeling the Birdman?
I'm not. The Mothman?
Shit.
The thing you just said was real. Yeah. It's just a lot of like fluffy stuff because it feels like the sightings could have been a bird. It wasn't 7 feet. The men in black shutting it down.
Yeah.
It could have been for, I don't know, other reasons.
Yeah, it could have been. Yeah, sure. Maybe that's why you tried and grab the girl and drag her into a car. Sure.
I mean, there's something.
Left a creepy note on the doorstep.
There's something to that. But
no, it's cool if you want to like keep your eyes shut on this one. That's fine.
Keep your head in the sand.
That's fine. System's fragile. I said it on the podcast. System's fragile. You're a Jenga block, and I'm playing the game.
You're a prawn.
Sorry for toppling your little world, Malvena.
In the final edit of this podcast, you just Photoshop my words. I'm not feeling it.
Look, you know, we're gonna. This is gonna happen on the podcast. We're gonna come to a conclusion, and it's gonna be different conclusions.
Is that so bad? There's never another episode.
Yeah, this is the last one. So angry at each other. Or it's like the next one is just
you.
The Mothman .2. It's like, I really just think you need to look at these documents though. Because you're like, I'm so sick of this. So you're saying no.
I'm saying no.
That's okay. You know what, guys? This gives us a great opportunity for you as listeners to write in and tell us whether or not you think the Mothman is real. You know what? Go as far as to head onto Twitter, look at @ThisParaLife. We're going to be, when this episode's live, we're going to be tweeting a poll.
Yeah.
And we want you guys to vote in it and see whether you think the Mothman is real or the Mothman is in fact a hoax.
That's right. And remember when you're voting,
the truth.
To keep your
Hashtag
allegiances in mind, you know, that we both have a side on this.
Right.
Okay.
Some of us,
you know,
researched the episode.
Yeah,
and some of us
are just more likable.
Sat there.
You know. Yeah, just do the right thing, you know. Just don't be a moron.
Just remember who taught you how to play chess. Just remember that, please. If you have your own paranormal stories, or you have a story that you want us to investigate, much like the lovely people that suggested the Mothman, and now kids broken their hearts by saying everything they believe is bullshit, you can write in.
Dry your eyes.
To this Paranormal Life podcast @gmail.com. And I think that about wraps it up.
And thanks again for you folks for sending in those suggestions that brought us this amazing episode.
And until then, we'll see you next Tuesday with a new paranormal story.